Hey, you, watch the video, please. I put a lot of work into making these ideas, so I ask that you just watch. You don't have to like it, you know how it goes. Just watch. Okay, let's go. So today I want to talk about attention, and not what is attention, because we all know attention is just where our focus is, or where we are experiencing. I want to talk about how does our attention actually affect us in our day-to-day life, and how does where we're putting it actually have any influence over us? Does it or does it not? You know? Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is how attention may be one of the only freedoms we just innately have complete control over. Always. You know? And I think this might even make it one of the most powerful freedoms we just innately have. But I think that what makes it like this truly is it brings our world to life. In for an example, it's what makes me see the clouds when looking upon the sky, but you a bird. And to me, that aspect of life is just insanely fascinating, and the fact that it's oriented off of this attention in kind of interpretation as well, but it's where our head is focused. You know what I mean? And I think it's really interesting to see how this does actually affect us. You know what I mean? And I think it could even be put as a root decider of whether we suffer or grow out of a certain situation, because when we're given problems, our attention can be focused on the problem and not actually how to solve the problem. Hello, kitty. Not actually how to solve the problem. And I think that matters more than most things, because when trying to solve the problem, it's not really about if you are able to solve the problem, because most problems are quite simple. They're simply solved. The problem is keeping our attention on the problem and keeping our focus on the problem to keep going and solve it. You know what I mean? And when I say problems, I mean more day-to-day life problems that we grow from, not really complicated logical questions that make things hard on purpose. But how? Sorry, my cat decided to interject, but honestly, for the better, because I'm gonna go back a little bit. Talking about problems and how they're solved, I would say they are easily solved to most normal problems, and it is about our attention. That is what I wanted to go back to. But the core thing is about this is that your attention dictates part of the problem as well, the problem being there in the first place. Your attention creates the problem in your mind because you notice it. So at the same time, having our attention away from problems can also be beneficial, by the way. I just wanted to add that, and I don't know why I had to struggle so hard, but I mean, it is honestly good to touch on, because we as people get put in all kinds of horrible scenarios, but it's best to remember our image of these is entirely dictated by our attention and thoughts and perspectives of them. You know what I mean? So I tell you strongly, a man who has mastered control over his attention to be positive, he's just an ultra positive person, could survive anything that wouldn't directly off him, sorry, or take him out. And you could be too. You could be that man, because no matter what you are never forced to lose sight of what makes you, you know, you, or what makes you happy, or if it's even for a moment in these terrible scenarios, it's as easy as picturing the things we like, you know? It's as easy as saying we'll make it to them. We'll get there. We'll make it out of this, you know? Sorry, I do have notes that I'm like kind of skimming through. But to get back to the core point of that, it's our attention. Focusing on the positive aspects. We need to be able to focus on what makes us happy and what makes us good, and we need to be able to stay on that, because I'll tell you what, life will put us through many hells several times and back, and at some point you and I are both going to have to accept that we need to be better and we need to be happy if we want to live happy, because no matter what, there is a possibility where you're happy in hell. You just need to make that your reality. And I'm not saying like you need to actually be happy in hell. You shouldn't be. That's like the entire point, from my perspective. But you know what I mean. To tell a little allegory here, just to give us a little more time and just to get a little more of the idea across. There was once a wise man, hung and tortured for several years, and every day he would talk to the guards like old school friends in retirement, teaching them new things, learning new things about them, what they loved, what they hated, their middle school crushes. These men would talk for hours and days before the wise man wasn't even a prisoner. He was a king sitting atop a mighty throne washed with his pure blood. And when the guards realized this, they did not kill him, for they saw he was truly kind and let him free. All right.